Hi, welcome back to how to write a platformer game in Java. In this video, we'll talk about how to animate our sprites. So let me show you what we're going to be able to do at the end of this video. So here's the game again. I notice here I add some coins that are animated, and that so the coin has a bunch of images, and we just cycle through them and display them so that it can animate the coins. And then once we get this, the next video is to kind of make our player sprite be animated. But this one is it's going to be the class that we'll inherit from later on in the other videos, and so you do need to know some inheritance for this video. Okay, so let me go ahead and open up the what we had last time. So here's some things I added just so that we don't have to type everything up. I added some variables for where the sprite is facing. Is it neutral facing? Maybe it's not facing left or right. Is it right facing or left facing? And these are 0, 1, 2. So it's nice to have these variables so that we can kind of know what they represent rather than integer 0, 1, 2. I also added in a new class called the AnimatedClass, and this class node is going to use inheritance. This class will extend the Sprite class. So the Sprite class, as you remember, we wrote this a while ago, has the image and then the position, change x, change y, width and height. And so now we are inheriting all those attributes and also all of the methods from the Sprite class. So inheritance is very powerful, allows us to reuse our code. So in this class, I also have here some array of images, and so this allowed me to kind of cycle through the images and then display them so that it has that animation. So I have here an array called current images. So this will represent basically the current images that I'm displaying. And then I have also a few other arrays. This one is for maybe you have a bunch of images that are standing neutral and not moving. Maybe you have some images that are moving left. Maybe a bunch of images for moving right. And really this class is up to, it depends on what images you have. So if you have different images, you might choose to have different array representing those images. But the point here is that you can always modify this to your game. I also have a direction here. This direction will be one of 3 values, and that is going to be neutral facing, right facing, or left facing. So it has every AnimatedSprite have a direction where it's facing. The index basically tell me what image of these array am I looking at. If this is the 5 images, which index am I on? And then the frame will keep track of the frame rate, and then so I'll explain that later. So if I don't have a lot of images, maybe I don't want to flip through them every frame, because if I do that, it might look very glitchy. So if I have only 2 images, for example, for moving left, maybe I choose to only just cycle through those 2 images every 5 frames or every 10 frames rather than every single frame. If you will go too fast, then it'll look very glitchy. So we'll see that later. Okay, and then so one thing about design is that this right here is, so the AP curriculum starting this year 2020 took away abstract classes. So this is really, I think, not the best design. I think if we had done abstract classes, really the Sprite class and the AnimatedSprite class, this should be abstract classes. And then when you want to create an actual like coin or player, then you want to create a concrete, tangible class. But really, right now, a non-abstract class. So again, that's not in the current curriculum, but I just want to say that technically, you don't want to create an AnimatedSprite object. You really want to create a class that extends from these classes. But again, that's just a design thing. And so to simplify matters, I'm just going to create these as normal classes. Okay, so let's talk about how to do this. So here's a constructor. It's going to take an image and a scale as before. So to write this constructor, I'm going to just say super img and scale. So that will call the super of the parent class, which is the Sprite class. So I'm basically calling super of this, sending over the image and the scale so that I can initialize everything properly. So that's the first thing. And then so again, the reason why this is should be an abstract class is because really when I create an AnimatedSprite, these right now I don't know what images I have, so I'm just creating a class to help me create other objects. And so right now I don't have any images. and so I'm just gonna, these are based on no. If I don't initialize it, they just initialize to no. But I'm gonna initialize the direction by default to be neutral facing. So if I don't, that's the default direction, and then I'll index is 0, and then frame is also 0. And then I'm not going to initialize these because these will be just, if I don't do it, it'll be just no by default. And I also can just do no here too, but that's fine. Okay, so there's my constructor. Alright, so here's the rest of the class. I have an update animation. This will help me basically figure out, am I moving left, am I moving right, am I standing neutral, figure out what's my state, and then how to update what image to display. And then this update animation is basically going to be very simple. So I'm going to say frame plus plus. I'm going to update frame by 1. Every time I call this, frame go up by 1. But again, so I can I'm going to do this. So if frame modulo 5 is 0, so this 5 number you can change it. If you have a lot of images, maybe you don't need this if, but I don't have a lot of images, so I'm going to only update my image every 5 frame. Just so that it doesn't look glitchy. Maybe I'll show you that later. So every 5 frame, I want to select the direction that I want to be facing. So I need to write that later. And then I also need to, once I select direction, I need to also select what image. So for example, if I'm going left, right, am I gonna pick move left or move right? So I want to call also select current images. So this is a top-down design here where I'll write these code a little bit later. I'm just going to give you the overview here how we're going to do this. So advanced, and then finally, once I select the direction, the current images, and then I need to also advance to next image. Okay, so what this is doing, this one right here is gonna, once I select the what image array, this will select the which array to pick here, and then advance to next image, will just move to the next image. So once I select, for example, move left, maybe there's 10 images, so advance to the next image will simply cycle through, adding one, cycling through each of the images there. Okay, so that's basically what the update animation does. And then now we have to write these 3 methods. Okay, so here we go. So select direction. Well, this is very simple. If my change x is positive, so again, change x, change y. This is from the Sprite class. If I'm going right, then I need my direction to be facing right. Again, this is the variables we declare over here. And then else if my change x is less than 0, then I need to do facing left. And finally, otherwise, I want my direction to be neutral facing. Okay. So that's the select direction. So it depends on my velocity, I know what direction I should be facing. Okay, so that's that. Now select current images. Well, now that I know I'm moving right left, then select current images will help me figure out what image to select. And so if my direction is facing right, so if the direction I'm facing is facing right, then I want my current images to point to the maybe moving right or something. Let's see, so this is so that means if the direction is facing right, then I want my current images to be move right. And then we'll do the same thing for the other. Else if direction is facing, if I'm facing left, then I want current images to point to the move left array of images. and then else I want my current images to point to stand, what is it called? So stand neutral. So that will decide which array to pick. Depends on my direction I'm facing. So again, right, we pick the direction, figure out what direction it is, pick that array, and then advance to the next image. So now advance to the next image is simply take the current index and then adding 1 to it. So the index is going to cycle through whatever array I'm looking at. So initially it's just 0, but I'm going to add 1 to it, and I need to make sure that I don't go out of bounds. So if index is equal to current images, so the current array of images that I'm looking at, if it's equal to the length of it, in other words, if I go to the end of the array, then I need to reset it back to 0. So that way it loops back. So it cycle through and loop back. So go back to 0 otherwise, and then finally, this is the very important step. I need to set my image. So again, what is image? Image comes from the Sprite class. So image is basically the image I'm displaying right now at this frame. So once I figure out the direction, the array of images, and then finally the index of the image, then now I can say the current image is now current images at the position given by my index. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Right, so every 5 frames, right, pick the direction, pick the correct array of images, and then pick the particular index of that array, and then display it, basically. So this is my animated sprite class, and then so again, we don't have any images for any of these, so that's why technically we can't really create an object of this class because we don't have any images. So and then we're going to use this class as the class for every sprite that are animated. So for example, let's do an example and do a coin. So later, for example, the player class will also inherit from the AnimatedSprite class in the next video. But in this video, we'll just do a simple example of the coin. The coin is this class is gonna extend the AnimatedSprite. So that means it has all these variables and all these methods. And then so here's the constructor. It's gonna super again just like before. So super calling the constructor of AnimatedSprite. There's only one, so I'll call this one. And then we're gonna but we only have, let me show you here's the folder here. I have go 1, go 2, go 3, go 4. So I'm gonna load those into my coin. So this is an actual class I will create because I know what images to do. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna use, and by the way, some of these might not be used. So maybe I extend something and I might not use some of these, or if I extend this class and I add more images. So again, this is just the base class. So for example, the coin, right, won't need move left, move right. It'll just need a bunch of coins that are standing neutrally. So I'm just gonna initialize stand neutral. It's new p image. This is an array of, I have 4 images. So stand neutral bracket 0. This is where I'm going to load image, and I'm going to load that image. Go 1.png, and I'll do this for the next 3 images. You can also do a for loop here too, but so this is going to be for 1, and this is 2, this is 3, 4, and this is 2 and 3. So there's my I've initialized those, and then I'm gonna, so that's the images for stand neutral, and then I'm gonna point to it. So current images, the one that is currently, is gonna be stand neutral. So that means that these are the images. So again, the current images will always point to stand neutral. There's no move left, move right for coins here, and then that's it. This is the coin class. It inherits everything else, so it just it inherits update animation, it inherits all this stuff, and so everything will work. So we're using code here. So this is kind kind of the power behind inheritance is that I write a class here that inherits all of the properties and methods of this animated sprite class. And then so now let's do the example by creating a coin object and see whether this will work. So let's I'm going to create a new image called I guess gold, and then I'll initialize it here. I'll just copy and paste. So I'll initialize the variable gold as gold1. Just pick one of the first one in that list of images, and then now I need to create an array list of coins. So I need to also initialize that, so I have the code there. So this will create an empty array list of Sprite. By the way, this array list is an array list of Sprite, but it can hold any subclasses of Sprite, namely AnimatedSprite or coins. So there it is. There's the coins array list. And then I need to initialize the coins, so I need to go back to this. You remember one of the videos before with creating platforms, and I'm going to go back here and look at my CSV file. So that's one of the previous video. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and so please watch over that video if you haven't. But this one, basically just look at my CSV, and then let's make this 5 because this is 4, and here I'm going to create a coin, say C or something, and then this is new coin. It needs an image, and that is called gold, and then sprite scale is fine, and this would be C, initialize the C, and then this is a coin, so I want to add it to the coins array list. There it is. So that's so that means I need to go back here and look at my CSV file. So again, from here this is where I create my map, and so I can go back here and add in. So for example, this is the platform, so above it I want to put in a bunch of coins. So this 5 represent the coins. I'll save that, and then I'll go back here, and I think I'm almost done here. I'm just gonna now display them. So here's a for loop. This one over here, be a little bit careful. So for every sprite C in coins, to do a couple things. I want to display that coin. I also want to animate it, so I need to call the update animation so that I can cycle through and select the right image. So I need to, if I can't do this update animation, the reason is because C is a sprite, the base parent class sprite. It doesn't have a method called update animation, so I need to cast down. So this is casting. So I need to do something like that. I need to set of parentheses, and then I need to cast C into an animated sprite. This is casting down. So take a sprite, cast into an animated sprite, and then call update animation. So let's see if that works. That's a lot of code here. I think I misspelled something. Facing right. I think that should be called right facing. So same thing here. I think this is called right facing, and this is left facing. So let's run that again. So same thing here. So again, it should be called right facing, and this should be left facing. Yeah, sorry about that. And then let's try that again. There it is. Okay, so what I didn't do in this video is resolve the collision, collecting it. And so that's going to be a lab assignment, so I won't do that. So the lab, if you look at my website, the lab for, so again I have a website here that has all the videos and then all of the labs. So I'm gonna upload the lab for this, but part of your lab or your homework is to make it so that when you collect it, it'll collect the coins and then display the number of coins on top here. Okay, so that's at the end of this video. I think the next video we're gonna animate the player next. Okay, thanks for watching.